Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are again. So, my wife thinks that I may be driving my doctors crazy. They found some unusual things in my ultrasound, and they says, well, where's the portal vein? They were trying to find all the blood flow through my liver, and were unable to find the blood flow through the portal vein. So then they came up and gave me a hypothesis after I talked to a couple doctors and a lot of you definitely have to advocate for yourself because nobody else is going to do it for you. I had a lot of doctors thinking I was a horse, maybe a rare horse, but I'm not a horse at all. I am definitely a zebra, and let me explain. So when they found all this, they were looking towards these genetic rare diseases like PKU and urea cycle disorder. Come to find out, I have something that makes that look like the flu as far as the rarity. It is certainly not as, I don't know how severe it is actually. But what is going on is they could not find that portal vein, so they came up with the hypothesis that maybe I don't have one. They have never seen anybody, of course, like that. So that night and the next night, while everybody else was asleep, I started researching on the internet. I don't usually just Google stuff. I understand how the internet works and how the servers store stuff and how the databases work, and so I was reading case reports. But anyhow, sorry I was interrupted, but in these case reports, first I figured, well, I've got to figure out the medical terms for, hey, you're missing this vein. Come to find out, it is congenitive, which means from birth. Absence, which means, hey, it's not there, of the portal vein. It's pretty much that simple. It's called CAP-V. It's also called the Abernathy malfunction. In 1793, malformation, 1793, I believe, a guy by the name of Abernathy found this in a child that was deceased. So now they haven't found too many cases like this because they didn't have the technology until last 30 years or so to actually look for it. But in the last since they found it in 1793, there has been 83 documented cases. That averages to, that was the statistics in 2015. Those are the most recent I can find. And basically it works like this. Now let me switch the cam. Let me see if I can figure out how to switch the camera around. No, I can't. So anyhow, these are your organs. This is your heart, and this is the clean blood, and this is your liver. So the heart produces about 30% of the blood to your liver. The other 70 comes from your organs. And all that is cleaned. This is a big filter. So all that is cleaned inside your body and then goes out to the rest of your body through this out port. Okay, well mine has a shunt that goes between point A and point B. So mine doesn't go through my liver. So my blood is not cleaned through the liver. My blood is cleaned apparently through the kidney, but not through the liver. And I don't really know enough about the anatomy to know what that's going to differentiate, because apparently the kidney doesn't clean the same thing as the liver does. But there has been a couple cases here in 2015, I think I was reading, in Chicago. A doctor by the name of Serpina, Ricardo Superina, something like that, has replaced the liver on a few children that have had this abnormality. Now, the other abnormality mutation that I have is called Malfrin, and it explains my tall, skinny, my glasses, and my thin blood vessels, which my thin blood vessels have led to my aneurysm that now exists behind my eye, and we are in line for surgery to have that removed. But this Abernathy, most people with it have a lot of other anomalies, like congestive heart disease, anomalies in the spleen, the brain, and or the skeletal system. As of now, as of everything they've found thus far, I do not. Now, all these tests were run in Iowa City, and they have consecutively missed a lot of stuff. So I'm not saying that I don't have any of these things. They've also misdiagnosed me with a super rare disease, and I have an even more rare malformation. The thing about Iowa City seems to be that they've got a lot of and I told them this, they've got a lot of really smart doctors. The problem is, this doctor believes he is a specialist. He knows he's a specialist in his area, or he's going to be a specialist in his area, whatever. But he doesn't talk to the specialists in the other area. And your body is not just one part. It is built up of a lot of different things, but it is generally just a giant chemical mixing bowl that happens to work. But if these specialists in all these different chemicals, all these different parts of the bowl don't talk to each other, then there's probably there is more than one problem. But these guys, they're so smart, they're not willing to talk to anybody else. I know I have ticked off my doctors a couple times, because when he finally did call back, and now I have one doctor that is supposed to talk amongst all the rest of them and figure out and kind of put everything together for everybody. But he was in the middle of spelling out to me the Abernathy malformation so that I could look it up. And I said, I stopped him mid-sentence and said, "Is this the Abernathy malformation?" He says, "Yes." I said, "Isn't this that CAP-V, congenital absence of the portal vein, that I was telling you about yesterday?" And he had just met me yesterday, and I asked him if that's what I had, and he said, "I'm not the GI doctor, I don't know." He says, "Yes, that is what you have." And my wife points out that the guy spent couple $100,000 going to school to know all this stuff, and I spend a day and a half on Google and butt in and stop him in the middle of his sentence and tell him the same thing he was going to tell me. The thing about it is, he told me it was very rare. I said, yeah, 83 cases since 1793. I kind of can key in on things, especially when it's my life. These are just stats to him. These are my numbers to me. And so I guess I'm not, I'm certainly nowhere near as smart as all these doctors, but I'm intelligent enough to be able to figure out a certain particular thing when they give me they gave me they gave me the portal vein that I was missing. All I had to do was figure out what it meant, the terminology, the medical terminology that, hey, it's been missing since birth. And, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a good way to tick your doctor off. So now we know for sure that it is Abernathy malformation that I have. It is super duper rare, not just rare. And I am not like apparently a lot of the other patients. Because I have my Marfan syndrome mutation where I'm tall and skinny and stuff, and I don't know if that's got something to do with the fact the other or not, but I'm nowhere near in as physical bad shape as these other people. I don't have the anomalies. At least we haven't found any of these anomalies yet. So that is what is going on. That is why I continue going back to the hospital. My ammonia levels are not getting cleaned by my liver. The liver is not cleaning up the ammonia that has built up in my body. And it is built up because the stuff, whatever it is, the blood is going through the filter. It's going around, it's not going through the filter, it's bypassing the filter. So basically there's nothing wrong with my liver. There's nothing wrong with my, all this other stuff. It's, the problem is in the plumbing. So that is an update on what's been going on. That is an update as far as what we know. Thanks everybody for all the prayers and concern, and I guess we'll keep looking for answers and looking. Well, we've got answers now. We just need to know what where we go from here. So keep praying, keep thinking of me. Thank you and goodbye.